Osibajo seeks increased support to tackle insurance risk. Army ignores criticisms, begins Operation Positive Identification. EFCC to go after doctors who issue fake medical reports to criminals, says Mabu. Nigeria Professional Football League Match Day 1 fixtures preview. Hello, good morning. Welcome to MCL News. I'm Easy Nwafo. Now the news in details. Vice President Yemi Osibajo has called on the National Council of Registered Insurance Brokers to partner the federal government to mitigate the risk associated with the investments in the insurance industry. Osibajo said this in Abuja during the investiture of Bola Onimogi as the 20th president of the MCLtv. The vice president described the insurance industry as vital for the development of the economy. He added, while the sector was faced with challenges, the lack of adherence to insurance practice was making it difficult for government to achieve its objectives for the sector. Osibajo, however, added that the government will do all it could, including working with the new leadership of the MCLtv to address the challenges facing the sector. He describes Onimogi as a woman with qualities to take the National Council of Registered Insurance Brokers to enviable heights, noting that the council could not have made a better choice than electing her as its president. He said professional bodies are essential to development and progress of any body as they maintain standards and ethical value. The outgoing president, MCLtv, Senu Tinubu, said that the emergence of Onimogi was based on the successor plan that the council had put in place. The appeal court Enugu Division on Friday upheld the election of Senator Uche Ekwunife of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) for Anambra Central Senatorial District. The court dismissed the petition filed by the candidate of the All Progressives Grand Alliance (APGA), Senator Victor Ume, against the election of Ekwunife. In a judgment delivered by Justice Ignatius Agube, the court held that it is not the business of the APGA candidate to challenge the nomination of a PDP candidate. Agube also held that the appellant could not prove its case of non-compliance of electoral rules by the respondent, adding that the appellant failed to provide convincing witnesses to prove his claim. The court holds that the appeal lacks merit and upholds the earlier tribunal's judgment. It would be recalled that the election petition tribunal sitting in Oka had earlier upheld the election of Ekwunife. However, Ume further dragged Ekwunife to the appeal courts. The Court of Appeal sitting in Enugu State has finally sacked a member representing Ikwo and Ezza, South Federal Constituency of Ebonyi State, in the House of Representatives, Honorable Lazarus Nweru Owe. The embattled ex-lawmaker was elected for the second term under the platform of the People's Democratic Party (PDP). Owe, before his sack on Friday, was the chairman House Committee on Reformatory Institutions, Prisons. The appellate court reaffirmed the judgment of the election petition tribunal sitting in Abakaliki, which had earlier ruled that the candidate of the All Progressives Congress (APC), Comrade Chinedu Oba, was the one that actually won the election and not Obe. Chairman of the tribunal, Justice Sika Henry, had ruled that from evidences presented before the tribunal to back up his claim, Oba scored 36,238 votes in the election, while Obe got 33,263 votes. However, dissatisfied with the tribunal judgment, Obe approached the appellate court to set aside the ruling of the lower court, but the appellate court ruled in favor of the APC candidate. The appeal court judges in their ruling upheld the judgment of the election tribunal and ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to immediately issue Chinedu Oga of the APC certificate of return, having scored the highest number of valid votes cast in the election. In his reaction, Obe thanked God and the entire people of the federal constituency for their support and mandate to serve. There are strong indications that the Nigerian Army will not suspend Operation Positive Identification, which began nationwide on Friday, despite criticisms from the National Assembly and socio-political groups, including Afenifere and Pan-Niger Delta Forum. This came just as the Federal High Court in Lagos fixed Tuesday for the hearing of the suit filed by human rights activist Femi Falana challenging the legality of OPI, which requires citizens across the country to carry identity cards. An authoritative military source told newsmen on Friday that the army has stated its position at the National Assembly and sorted out all the controversies. He said Operation Positive Identification has started and there is no going back. The evaluation we made was that it would be conducted in the northwest and north central, not necessarily in the south. It was a very successful operation in the northeast like we've maintained. There is no label on Boko Haram terrorists other than intelligence and this means of identification people. Another top military source said Nigerians have been told that there are foreigners sneaking into the country as headers to attack innocent communities, and the military has been called upon to fish out these foreign fighters. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Toko Buratai, has tasked officers and soldiers to ensure their personal safety and security at all times. Buratai, who was represented by the Chief of Policy and Plans, Lieutenant General Lamidi Adoshun, gave the advice while addressing the personnel after the Army's monthly route march on Friday in Abuja. He said that the last 3 months of the year was usually difficult in terms of security, warning that personnel on off-duty and in uniform should always take precautions on their movements. Buratai said that officers and men should always ensure that their whereabouts should be known to their families and friends to avoid such unfortunate incidents. Buratai also cautioned the officers and soldiers on the use of social media, urging them to be wary of the good, bad, and ugly side of the platform. The Nigerian Air Force will no longer rely on the importation of accumulator diaphragm for the L-39ZA aircraft if it was launched. This is as a result of the successful design and fabrication of the aircraft spare part locally by NAF engineers. The Director of Public Relations and Information, Nigerian Air Force, Air Commodore Ibikule Daramola, disclosed this in a statement on Friday. The achievement was made known by the Chief of the Air Staff, CAS, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, yesterday, 31st October 2019, during the formal demonstration of the locally fabricated diaphragm in the hydraulic system of an L-39ZA aircraft at the 403 Flying Training School, 403 FTS Kano. He added the cast while expressing extreme delight at the development as well as a successful demonstration of the diaphragm, stated that it was gratifying that the NAF had, for the first time, begun the local production of some spares of the L-39ZA after 32 years of the aircraft being in its inventory. He noted that while the NAF was grateful to its foreign partners for their support and cooperation over the years, there is no substitute to building indigenous capacity and partnerships for R&D to ensure self-reliance. The next set of people said to be on the radar of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, are medical doctors who connive with suspected criminals to issue fake medical reports. The acting chairman of EFCC, Ibrahim Mago, said this during a briefing in Abuja. He explained that the anti-graft agency is casting its net wide to investigate other sister agencies such as the police, NGOs in the Northeast who carry out similar practices. On the issue of plea bargain strategy for suspected cyber fraudsters, also known as Yahoo Boys, Magu complained that most of them do not abide by the agreement. The EFCC boss urged the media to join the fight against corruption by promoting anti-corruption narratives. He also explained that the anti-graft agency does not just go after people with flashy cars, but a thorough background investigation is done to ascertain the source of the wealth, and efforts are taken to monitor the financial activities of suspects in connection with internet fraud and email scam before a decision is taken. A non-governmental organization, NGO, Alex Ikweche Foundation, has donated relief materials to some residents of Okojumbo and Ntueke zone of Aba. Mesoman Namocha completes the reports.
Affected residents of the area were rendered homeless when policemen allegedly went on rampage, burning down 8 buildings in the area. The policemen were said to be avenging the death of one of their own that was shot and killed in the area by unidentified bandits. Touched by the plight of the victims, the Alex Ikweche Foundation donated items to the affected residents. The items donated include mattresses, kerosene stoves, fan and cooking pots. The victims were also given cash. The founder of the organization, Alex Ikweche, expressed sympathy with the affected residents of the area. Ikweche promised to assist the victims further by renovating their damaged houses.
These people are really suffering. In the middle of the night, torn down houses. It's quite terrifying. So we decided to come here and see how we can help with relief materials to at least provide some form of support for the affected ones here.
Some of the beneficiaries expressed happiness and gratitude to the foundation for its benevolence.
Our uncle will be like this, even get money to get all this relief material, even to promise us that all this building will be rebuilt within a couple of hours. So we are very, very happy for him.
The Alex Ikweche Foundation engages in charity work in the area of education and health. Mesoman Namocha, MCL News.
The National Cotton Association of Nigeria, NACOTAN, says the closure of borders by the federal government has not only curtailed importation of smuggled textile materials into Nigeria, but is reviving the cotton, textile and garments CTG subsectors. President of the association, Anibe Achimugu, made this known in an interview with newsmen in Abuja on Friday. The president, who lauded the closure of the borders, said that the reduction in the influx of textile materials into the country had boosted the morale of players in the subsector to get back to work. He said that the major advantage of the closure is the control it has brought to the importation of smuggled textile materials, including used clothes. Achimugu confessed that the borders remain closed until the neighboring countries adhere to Economic Community of West African States (ECOWAS) trade agreements. On concerns of increase in prices of goods due to the closure, Achimugu said the hardship will only last for a period of time, saying that Nigerians should endure. He pointed out that the law of demand and supply will eventually reduce the price of goods. He commended the federal government for its intervention in reviving the CTG subsectors. The association president noted that the Anchor Borrowers Program has helped a great deal in taking the subsector out of the woods. Achimugu added that the intervention, the Cotton Association alone could boast of 151,000 cotton farmers across the country, a feat that cannot be achieved before the intervention. The federal government had on August 21st ordered the partial closure of the borders to check smuggling activities around Benin, Niger and Chad republics. Still to come on the news, Army House of Assembly holds special plenary. Nigerian Army 82 Division holds Civil Media Military Summit in the southeast. Anambra government restricts movement of fuel-laden trucks Details after the break from our Omaha studios. Do stay with us.
Do not deface Abia State with posters. Do not defecate on our streets. Do not litter Abia State.
My brothers, I say wetin man go do for this world where people no go talk. If you chop,
Do not urinate in public places.
you no chop, dem go talk. Wetin make we do for this world? I say make we dey do the things wey we carry for heart. Na so world want am. Abi no be so?
Keep Abia State clean. This message is brought to you by MCLtv.
You're welcome back. At this point, you'll be connecting with our Omaha studios where Emmanuel Wanzwe is standing by. Good morning, Emmanuel Wanzwe.
Good morning to you, and welcome to Umuahia. The Abia State House of Assembly has held a special session for National Assembly members of Abia origin. Morocco reports that the meeting had attendance Senator Edmund Abaribe, the Senate Minority Leader, and Nkiru Kolejota, the Deputy Chief Whip of the House of Representatives. Report.
Speaker of the House, Chinedum Ojo, while welcoming them to the hallowed chamber, described their visit as a privilege and congratulated them on their emergence as principal officers of the National Assembly. He said their elections show their doggedness as great representatives of the people. Ojo urged the federal lawmakers to bring about good cohesion between other representatives in the National Assembly with the aim of putting Abia first despite party affiliations to help Abia benefit from their enviable positions. The Speaker, who read out the 7th Assembly's blueprint to the lawmakers, explained that the House is ready to do its work in a conducive environment devoid of rancor.
This special session is the determinant of the legislative blueprint of the 7th Abia Assembly, emphasizing the necessity to synergize our Senators and Federal House of Representative members of Abia State origin on the issue of national importance and future elected moving our Abia State forward and providing the citizens with dividends of democracy. Now that the budget process is in progress, it is expedient that we all, as principal officers, to use the instrumentality of your office to ensure that the following federal laws and states begin attention in the ongoing project process. We already believe that we are going to make it possible and nearest to and it's also experience that we will better use the position to bring about positive changes in the narratives of Abia.
The
Senate Minority Leader Eyina Abaribe and the House of Representatives Deputy Chief Whip Okerekonejacha in response said the federal lawmakers are indebted to the states and always willing to assist in any way possible. They reminded the other lawmakers of their mandates and enshrined in sections 120, 121 and 128 of the 1999 Constitution and urged them to ensure they serve as the conscience of Abians in their relationship with the executive. The lawmakers called on them to remain fair and firm in their legislative duties while putting the interests of Abia at all times. The special session was in tandem with the blueprint of the 7th Assembly to synergize with the federal lawmakers to bring positive changes in Abia narrative. Noah Okafor, MCL News.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, has arrested 16 local government chairmen in Kwara State. The LG chairmen were arrested for allegedly misappropriating part of a 4 billion naira loan and 10% of internally generated revenue. The EFCC in a statement by its head, Media and Publicity Wilson Uwujaren, said all the suspects have made useful statements as investigations continued. He explained that the local government chairman held a meeting after securing the controversial loan and decided that 100 million naira be shared among themselves. The chairman include Rizikat Opakunle, Saidu Yaro Musa, Umar Bele, Ayeni Dollars, Fatai Adolini Garba, La Abu Ramin, Ramiat Fumi Salao, Aminat Omodara, and Muyiwa Oladipo. Others include Oladipo Omole, Abdullah Abubakar Bata, Saka Eleyele, Latif Badamosi, Onio Joseph, Omokale Joseph Olatunji, and Jibril Salihu. Reports from Malian Army says 35 soldiers were killed on Friday in a terrorist attack on a Mali military post in the northeast of the country. The army announced this on its Facebook page, but maintained that the situation was under control. It said an investigation into the attack on the outpost in the Limane and Menaka region was ongoing. The attack came a month after 2 jihadist assaults killed 40 soldiers near the border with Burkina Faso, one of the deadliest strikes against Mali's military in recent Islamist militant violence. No group immediately claims responsibility for Friday's attack. The Malian government earlier condemned the terrorist attack, saying it had left numerous dead or wounded, but without giving a precise toll. It said reinforcements had been pushed to the area to boost security and track down the attackers. The Embassy of Israel in Nigeria on Friday reopened after 2 days of closure of all Israeli embassies and consulates because of strikes by diplomats and military attachés over allowances. News Agency of Nigeria reports that the Israeli diplomatic mission around the world closed on Wednesday as foreign ministry workers went on strike over a dispute about paying taxes on overseas stipends. No one was allowed into the closed missions, and services for Israelis abroad were unavailable. In Abuja, the Israeli embassy remained closed on 30th and 31st of October. The embassy had via its social media announced that the closure was due to decision of the Israeli Ministry of Finance to breach the understandings that were agreed upon. The embassy said that the agreement was signed by the Director General of the Ministry of Finance on 21st July 2019. And that's all we have from here. I will move my house now back to you as in there for the rest of the news. Good morning.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel Wanzwe. And in sports, the Nigerian Professional Football League MPFL returns for match day 1 of the 2019 and 2020 football season. The long-awaited season kicks off with exciting matches nationwide. One of such is the tie between Kano Pillars and Rivers United, which is sure to garner interest beyond the Nigerian footballing world. Match day 1 of the MPFL kicks off on Sunday, 3rd of November 2019. The opening fixtures include Match 1, 4 p.m. Wiki Tourist FC, Bauchi State vs Jigawa Golden Stars FC, Jigawa State, Tafawa Balewa Stadium, Bauchi. Match 2, 4 p.m. Plateau United FC, Plateau State vs Lobby Stars FC, Benue State, New George Stadium, Plateau. Match 3, 4 p.m. Delta Falls FC, Delta State vs Aqua Starlets FC, Akwa Ibom State, Silikeshi Stadium, Delta. Match 4 p.m. Kano Pillars FC, Kano State vs Rivers United, Rivers State, Sani Abacha Stadium, Kano. Match 5, 4 p.m. Heartland FC, Imo State vs NFM FC, Lagos State, Dananyam Stadium, Imo. Match 6, 4 p.m. Ifeanyiba FC, Anambra State vs Adamawa United FC, Adamawa State, Ifeanyiba Stadium, Anambra. Match 7 at 4 p.m. Rangers International, Enugu State vs Sunshine Stars FC, Ondo State, Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium, Enugu. Match 8, 4 p.m. Warri Wolves, Delta State vs Akwa United, Akwa Ibom State, Warri Township Stadium, Delta. Match 9, 4 p.m. Abia Warriors, Abia State vs Castina United, Castina State, Umahis Township Stadium, Abia. Match 10, 4 p.m. Eimba International FC, Abia State vs Nasarawa United FC, Nasarawa State, Eimba International Stadium, Abia. The Golden Eaglets of Nigeria on Friday lost 2-1 to Australia at the ongoing FIFA Under-17 World Cup in Brazil. Noah Boti scored twice to give Australia their first ever victory over Nigeria at the FIFA Under-17 World Cup after 6 attempts. Both teams are through to the knockout stages of the competition. And so in the news, a look at some major stories. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has called on the National Council of Registered Insurance Brokers to partner the federal government to mitigate the risks associated with investments in the insurance industry. There are strong indications that the Nigerian Army will not suspend Operation Positive Identification, which began nationwide on Friday, despite criticisms from the National Assembly and social-political groups including Afenifere and Pan-Niger Delta Forum. The next set of people said to be on the radar of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, are medical doctors who connive with suspected criminals to issue fake medical reports. And in sports, the Nigerian Professional Football League (NPFL) returns for match day 1 of the 2019 and 2020 football season. Now is the news. Thanks for watching. Please do join us again by 8 a.m. for Good Morning Abia. I am Ezine Wafo. Do have a nice day.